passing events that will get us through the cold, gray days of the season, there's one way we can relive the most beautiful season in New England. Local artist Joshua Touster has an exhibit at Habitat titled 3 Weeks Every Summer, Photographs from Main Island. Running from November 1st through December 30th, this exhibit offers a glimpse into all things coastal in New England's northernmost state during the peak summer season. Here to chat about his exhibit and his journey as a photographer is Joshua Touster. Welcome, Joshua.
Nice to be here. Thanks.
Thanks so much for coming in. I thought we could just start by kind of giving the viewers a brief introduction.
Sure. Um, well, I'm both a commercial and a fine art photographer. I've been photographing all my life, and I had a dark room in my bathroom when I was 7 years old. So I've been doing photography for a very, very long time. I've made my living doing photography, and these days I work on huge personal projects. Right now, I've been working on a project where I've been following an up and coming rock and roll band named Neighbor for the last 7 years and doing a video on them. I spent 13 years at Suffolk Downs Racetrack, photographing the last thoroughbred racing in New England. And my project at the Habitat is a project on an island that me and my partner Kathy go to every summer for the last 2 decades. And I just take pictures, and I finally put them all together, 2 decades worth of photography. And that's how this show came together.
Wonderful. Well, I spent quite some time on your website, and we are going to list it because I think it is a wonderful journey into, how you became a photographer, the influences, your parents. I enjoyed it tremendously. And one of the things you talked about on your website was that you were blessed to learn photography in an age of film. And then I also thought something that was also interesting was when you said that you entered the digital age kicking and screaming, which I feel like I'm like that about much technology, many of the things that are coming
Exactly.
out. And it
Exactly.
made me think about kind of your journey as a photographer and how that has changed. When you talk about feeling blessed to have started in film, what does that mean to you? Why was that uh, so instrumental in your journey?
Well, in a lot of ways, I think photography back in the age of film was a magical experience. Not everybody could do it. You worked in the dark room. To watch the print appear in the developer in the dark room is just, it's magic. And it wasn't this instantaneous world that we live in right now, where you take a picture, you look it on your phone, and you move on. It was something special. You sort of luxuriated in it in a way. And in which I think we don't do that often enough in this day and age. All right, everything is so fast, so spontaneous, so quick. So I really feel like spending the decades and decades and decades of doing photography, analog and in a film sense, really helped me learn how to take pictures. I mean, people don't really know these days how photography, how to deal with depth of field, how photography really works. It's just totally accepted because the technology is just given to them. So for us photographers back then, it took a lot of work to get where we are, and I really think I by going through that process was really fantastic for me. But I also feel like I'm completely blessed. Because I was able to learn photography and deal with it in the age of analog, but also as I've gotten older and I can't spend 13 hours on my feet in the dark room, and I don't have to carry 60 rolls of film if I'm shooting the Boston Marathon, let's say. Um, I feel like I'm blessed as I've gotten older to be able to move into the digital age. And as you said, I do go kicking and screaming into learning technology, but once I cross that line, then I accept it, and I take advantage of what it has to offer.
Right. Well, when I was looking through the pictures that are some of the pictures that are in your current exhibit, and I was thinking about that in terms of film. When you're filming landscape, and you said you're there for several weeks in the summer, how would you approach that if you were shooting landscapes with film as opposed to, so you have a finite, you have finite roll, you have
Right.
10 rolls or something like that. As opposed to, when you see, like when I see tourists walking around and they take hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the same scene, what's different for you about filming landscapes like those beautiful ones on the coast of Maine, film versus digital?
Well, I think as far as the act of filming, digital really fits well into my personality. Have always taken a huge amount of the images, and I think I was limited to a certain extent with how many images I could take when I'm using film because it was incredibly expensive. You get 36 shots on a roll. You go through the whole process of developing it. I actually love digital for me of how many pictures I could take. And by taking more pictures for me, it gives me more variation on a very specific angles or exposures or moving things around slightly or taking more photographs as the light changes over time. So in a lot of ways, I'm really not a landscape photographer. I'm a photographer that shoots everything. I'm primarily a people photographer. But when you're on an island and you're spending 99% of the time by yourself, I'm always taking pictures. And in a lot of ways, digital has been a really wonderful technological breakthrough for me. It's been very, very helpful with the way that I photograph.
Right. And when you're putting together an exhibit like the one that's at Habitat, can you just walk us through a little bit about how you chose the photos that you would exhibit and kind of the story behind that, your choices and the kind of overall what people can expect to see?
Well, I'm really a narrative photographer, and I tend to be a storyteller in a lot of ways. I'm a filmmaker who uses still photography, so I'm always looking for a narrative to my projects. Um, but the way that I never really had a sense of that I was going to put these images together. I was just taking like vacation pictures. But me taking vacation pictures with digital is literally within 3 weeks, I'll take between 4,000 and 5,000 photographs.
Oh my
And
goodness.
often it has to do with I like to hear the camera, the shutter of the camera click. I mean, I like the act of taking pictures. So it's not always, if I don't get a good picture, sometimes that's not why I'm doing it. I just like the act of taking photographs. So generally what happens is, let's say I'll take 4 or 5 thousand photographs. I'll come home and I'll start editing those each year. So what I'll do is that my process is I use Lightroom. Um, and what I do is I'll go from 5,000 and my first edit will bring it down to 1,200. Then my second edit will bring it down to 400. Then my third edit will bring it down to 200. So I am really looking to get, you know, if I get 45 photographs that are decent, I'll throw those on, let's say, Facebook. But when it really comes down to it, if I could get 2 or 3 photographs that are exceptional, that's not bad. And so when you go over 25 years of taking photographs and you're getting 4 or 5 pictures a year, okay, so now you have 100 photographs. And ideally, those are the photographs that go into the show. But I'm also limited by trying not to recreate photographs that tell the same story. So I might have 3 photographs of the perfect thing, but to put in 3 starts getting boring. Although during the show, there's a couple of sections where there's one vantage point from a landscape from the deck of the house that we stay in, and it's across the harbor, and there's a lighthouse in the distance. Well, I'll take that same scene dozens and dozens of times, and in my exhibition there's 6 photographs that are from the exact same vantage point, and the only thing that changes is the light or the time of day. So
Mhm.
so I'm always looking for a lot of different things. I also like to put photographs together that show a lot of different types of things. So there's going to be close-ups of nature. There's going to be people working on the island. There's going to be pictures of the sky and light. There's going to be a lot of pictures of my partner, Kathy, because that's who I'm spending time with. So I like to mix it up and not bore people and not bore myself.
Right. Well, I am looking forward to the exhibit. I was actually at Habitat last week, so it's wonderful. You can experience, um, going in to see your photos and being reminded of, as I said, my favorite, the most wonderful season there is, and then walk around Habitat and also experience the wonderful landscape and the changes that are happening there right now. So I
Yes,
think it
I always
looks
tell people to
wonderful.
bring your walking shoes so you can see the exhibit and take a walk in a beautiful place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we will make sure that everyone has access to the exhibit information as well as your website, which again, I encourage people to visit because I thought the story and your journey as a photographer was fascinating. So
Well, thanks
thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Hey,
And
thanks
thanks
very
so
much.
much
I
for coming
appreciate
in.
it. Okay.